Hi guys, today I think we should talk about what plagues Nigeria. And what do I mean by what plagues Nigeria? We're beginning to have what we call a begging culture in Nigeria, right? A begging culture. And what does that mean? It's not like it's bad to ask for help when you need it. It's just that in Nigeria today, it's becoming a culture where in a highly volatile environment, people don't have funds saved for emergency. And I know the normal rhetoric. People say, you've not eaten, you don't have enough to feed or pay your house rent. How do you save for emergencies? But the truth of the matter is, emergencies will come, especially in a volatile climate, in a volatile economy. You know, when you live abroad, people that live abroad, they have safety nets, right? There's social security for when they lose jobs. There's free medical or near free medical for when medical emergencies show up. But in Nigeria, we don't have all of that, right? You have to take care of yourself, except for people that work in organizations where they have HMOs, right? Health maintenance organizations that are being paid for by your employer, right? Some other people work for organizations, maybe like Chevron, that have their own hospitals or clinics or whatever it is, right? So you get free medical. But majority of us, 99% or 99.5% of us, maybe in Nigeria, have to cater for our own healthcare. But people don't put away emergency funds. So today, let's talk about why people don't put emergency funds together. They don't have something to take care of medical emergencies. We don't even have insurance for medical. We don't have insurance for job losses. Guess what? Today, if you took a mortgage loan in any mortgage bank in Nigeria, they will insure that mortgage loan. There's something called loss of job insurance. So if you lose your job for the next 6 months to 1 year, the insurance company pays your mortgage during that period, just to ensure you don't default on your mortgage and you get thrown out of your house. And then they also cover, of course, permanent disability and death. So you have things like that. But generally in Nigeria, we don't have that. Okay, so why won't you put together emergency funds for major repairs that happen, for urgent travel that comes up, for unexpected financial obligations? Why don't we have it? That's what an emergency fund is, something you put aside for the unforeseen. And why does this matter in Nigeria? Like I said a few seconds ago, the economy is very volatile. The environment is very volatile. Inflation erodes your savings quickly, far faster than you can put those savings together if you suddenly have unplanned expenses, right? The job markets are also volatile. They fluctuate, leading to sudden income gaps, right? Or loss of jobs. And then, of course, businesses can face operational or regulatory costs that just show up all of a sudden. So you need to plan for things like that. That's why we need emergency funds in Nigeria. Okay, this ensures that you can handle crisis without derailing from your long-term goals that you've set for yourself. So how much do you save? What's generally recommended, the benchmark that people use, is 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses for individuals, right? While for businesses, what's generally recommended as a benchmark is 6 to 12 months for entrepreneurs, for self-employed people, for individuals that usually have a variable income. They always say you should at least have 6 to 12 months. But my personal recommendation, you should have at least 1 year of living expenses that you have. You should have your rent for 1 year. You should have living expenses and other expenses for 1 year, school fees for 1 year and all that, just in case the unforeseen happens. Okay? Now, we live in a place where, it's not so structured. You don't have those kind of jobs that you get so easily. We don't have what we term contract jobs, as is done abroad. So if you lose a job, it may take you longer than 6 months to get another job, which is why we recommend, or I would recommend, that you have at least a year worth of expenses in savings. The key is to have that realistic calculation. List all your monthly expenses: rent, food, utilities, transport, debt obligations. Remember, you have to repay your debt. And then multiply by the target number of months you've set for yourself. Don't forget to put your children's school fees if you're still paying school fees. So with emergency funds, accessibility is critical, right? When we say accessibility, how easy is it to access the money when the emergency happens? You don't want an emergency to happen. You have the funds, but you've locked it up somewhere where you can easily get it back to spend for the issue that has arisen. So you have to keep it in a savings account or in money market, maybe things like fixed deposits or something that you can easily get. Instruments that you have quick access to. Avoid tying it up in long-term investments like properties or maybe treasury bills that you cannot rediscount. Okay? Then ensure that it is separate, very separate from your day-to-day funds in order to prevent temptation. Right? Liquidity ensures your emergency fund serves its protective purpose immediately when needed. Keyword, immediately. That's why it's an emergency. When emergencies happen, it's always immediate. So with emergency funds, there's a concept of discipline over time. Building an emergency fund requires consistent contributions, right? You don't start today, stop tomorrow. If you've said, this is what I'm going to set aside every month into my emergency funds, you should do it. You have to be disciplined. So typically, you automate your monthly deposits into a dedicated account. Treat it as a non-negotiable expense. Then increase contributions as your income increases. So you get a promotion, you get some splurge in terms of expense or income that comes in. Increase what you put in your emergency funds. Even small, steady amounts grow into a substantial buffer over time. And of course, if you keep it in a place where it is subjected to the power of compound interest, you'll be amazed at how quickly it can grow for you. An emergency fund gives you peace of mind and strategic advantage. Remember that. You get peace of mind and strategic advantage. An emergency fund does more than cover crisis. It reduces stress and financial anxiety. It provides confidence to pursue investment opportunities without fear. And it prevents reliance on high-interest loans or credit cards during emergencies. So it's a financial shock absorber that also creates strategic flexibility for you. Remember that. So in setting this up, what you should have is a mindset of safety first and growth second. That's what an emergency fund does for you. Creates a safety net for you first, and then you now think of growth second. So many Nigerians prioritize investment or lifestyle over protection. A strong financial mindset recognizes emergency funds do not limit your growth, they enable it. Without protection, wealth or wealth building efforts are vulnerable to setbacks, right? Prioritizing safety ensures resilience in volatile markets, especially markets like Nigeria. So the discipline in building this fund is a cornerstone for long-term financial success. Remember that. So in Nigeria's uncertain economic environment today, an emergency fund is not optional. It is essential. By allocating resources systematically, keeping funds accessible, and treating contributions as a financial priority, you protect your finances from shocks, you reduce stress completely or eliminate it completely, and you position yourself for calculated growth. Remember, the first step in building wealth is securing your foundation. Your emergency fund usually is that foundation. It was nice having you here today. I hope my thoughts that I've shared have an impact or some value to you. Thank you. Bye.